Hello, dear friends of pleasure. Have you already experienced the joy of a kiss? Yes, definitely a good morning kiss or a good evening kiss. Maybe you also had a nice makeout session. But the kiss I am about to tell you about is a highly unusual course. So, I would like to talk today about a very special sexual technique that is characterized by its slowness and intensity. And in the truest sense of the word, your six senses are activated at the highest level, with the result of simply having a lot of fun getting to experience your partner in a completely different way. And if everything goes well, you will have a sensational orgasm that you will never forget. This practice is not just about kissing, but about an intense lovemaking experience that engages all the senses. My name is Antje. I am your sexual senses coach, and I help you with desire and frustration in your love life. So what is behind it? Pompoir. I only say pompoir. It is such a beautiful word, and it deserves this name because it is something special, something extraordinary, and simply something that is not done every day. And pompoir comes from the Tantra and Kama Sutra of India and means something like the grip of Cleopatra. And with us, the sexual practice is also known but under a less pompous name, namely the labia kiss. The sexual practice originates from ancient India and is said to have been practiced by Hindu dancers. The term labia kiss may sound misleading at first, as it does not refer to the vulvar lips, but rather to the vaginal muscles that stimulate the partner's penis during sex. And the theory behind it is actually quite simple. One tenses and relaxes the pelvic floor muscles in the genital area. This means that the vagina tightens and the woman pulls the penis deeper inside her. This technique, in which the vaginal muscles are consciously used to envelop the penis and perform rhythmic contractions, creates additional stimulation and pleasure. At the same time, the contractions are quite pleasurable for the man and are meant to provide him with an orgasm that he will not forget easily. And why is that? Because the man is aroused very, very slowly, and it might also be a bit like a kind of torture for him, a good kind of torture. Because the man is aroused so slowly, his excitement naturally also increases very gradually, and he can sometimes experience a few fluctuations, where the penis is not only erect, but also becomes softer again, and then becomes erect once more. And this change, it does have an effect. So what happens during pompoir? The man and the woman are supposed to experience an indescribable orgasm that is almost unimaginable. The extremely slow increase in pleasure is intended to make the climax particularly ecstatic. In this sexual position, the woman takes the active role. This means that the man lies on his back, while the woman sits on top of him in a riding position, supporting herself with both arms in front. The penis is in the vagina, and then nothing happens at first. But first, what must the woman do to become his goddess of love? Yes, pelvic floor training, pelvic floor training, pelvic floor training. So this is the be-all and end-all, and as simple as it may sound, it is quite hard work. But ultimately, once you have really achieved it, you know what you have been training for so long and so hard. It is also important for the woman to train the pelvic floor muscles, simply to prevent incontinence, to achieve a firm butt, and also to get a harder and tighter stomach. How can a woman do that? It can be done anywhere. Whether in the office, while waiting at the checkout, watching television, cooking, or driving. This is done by having the woman imagine that she is lightly pulling the vulvar lips towards her navel. Perhaps women who have already done pelvic floor exercises after giving birth are familiar with this. There are also some very strangely worded exercises where you first have to think, what do they actually want from me? But unfortunately, it cannot be described any other way. So you practically pull from the outside in, and this muscle, which you might also recognize when you go to the bathroom and interrupt the stream, while urinating is exactly the pelvic floor muscle that we want to train here very specifically. The woman can now either try using love balls or a yoni to train the pelvic floor muscles with various exercises. The love balls are initially worn for a few minutes, gradually increasing the duration of wear up to 15 minutes or longer. And while these things are in the vagina, one naturally also moves the muscles and can experiment a bit with how long one can squeeze together or how long one can simply perform this exercise. You just have to see. However, if the woman is not a fan of these things, she can certainly try it with a vibrator or a dildo. It must also be said that, especially at the beginning, it is not so easy to consciously use the vaginal muscles. Nevertheless, the best part is that you can't do anything wrong. Just keep practicing and strengthen the pelvic floor muscles. And ultimately, that is also the most important thing I would like to mention regarding yoni eggs and love balls. These two things are not necessarily appropriate for women who are, in particular, very prone to infections or bladder infections. As clean as it may be, it is ultimately a foreign object, and most gynecologists do not recommend leaving it in overnight. So, if one tends to such things, it's best to stick with manual training. And please keep in mind that success does not come overnight, and it really requires regular training for 8 to 12 weeks. And as mentioned, you start with 10 minutes and gradually increase it to 1 hour daily. And this is 2001, a really, really tough training session. Yes, so if one can really manage to do that for 1 hour, then the man will certainly be pleased. That's how it could work. I have now talked extensively about strengthening the pelvic floor muscles. There are also various techniques for this, and I will link an exercise for you under the video. It is important to simply train regularly to improve control over the pelvic floor muscles. And when you now start with your partner, it is very, very important that the woman completely relaxes, has planned plenty of time, is very calm, patient, and then also takes a moment to feel within herself, breathing deeply in and out, in order to release all the tensions in the pelvic area. Breathing makes so much possible. On one hand, it relaxes your entire body, allowing you to connect better with your partner. And of course, not only are the tensions in the pelvic area released, but also generally. You are simply freer, the flow is flowing, the energy flow is flowing, and very likely you will have reached the level of moisture necessary to take your partner into you. So you begin. When you are relaxed, when you are ready to insert the penis into your vagina, and then nothing happens at first. You are completely calm, sitting on him. The man lies on his back, as mentioned, while you sit above him, supporting yourself with both arms in front, and no hips are moved, no rhythmic thrusts are performed. You simply look at each other. You take a moment to feel, then the woman begins to slowly draw the penis inside her by relaxing and contracting her vaginal muscles. And the trick of Pompoir really indeed truly lies in calmness, patience, and simply silence. No shared movements. In 2001, no hip movements. Just stay still, be patient, arrive, enjoy, and feel. The only thing that moves is the vaginal muscles. Through contraction, the penis is gently massaged in the vagina by the pelvic floor muscles, leading slowly but steadily to orgasm. The tensing and relaxing of the muscles naturally exerts a corresponding pressure, and for the man, it creates the sensation of a continuous hand massage. The best part is that one can consciously contract the pelvic floor muscles. One can imagine it as the penis being very gently embraced and then very slowly released, or the other way around, that he is held tightly at first and then slowly released. Or you can very slowly and very gently enclose the penis and perform rhythmic contractions. But you can also, when you let the music play, allow the muscles to move in rhythm. This is completely open to your creativity, like as a woman. So experiment with different intensities and speeds of contraction to find out what brings pleasure to the man and to you as well. And as mentioned, it is not easy, but it is also not hard. However, it requires truly strong pelvic floor muscles, as otherwise the woman becomes very quickly fatigued. 2001, but nonetheless, it is a beautiful exercise, and perhaps, if it doesn't work out immediately, it can also be a lovely foreplay in a completely different way. Through the slow but steady friction of the penis, a climax is eventually reached, triggered by a very long phase of arousal. And this is indeed certainly one of the reasons why the world of men can dream of a labia kiss. Please do not be sad if it doesn't work right away, and do not be impatient because the pelvic floor muscles really need some time to become strong. And depending on how actively and regularly you practice, as well as how long and how quickly your pelvic floor muscles develop. All of this has to do with how strong your pelvic floor muscles ultimately are. Just see it as a good exercise that is meant to be fun, creates connection, and is completely different from what you usually do. Just try something together with your partner that hasn't been tried very often. The more relaxed you are, the better it will be. What matters is the desire, the arousal, and the togetherness. The orgasm is just the bonus, so stay engaged, don't give up, and when it happens, the man will be very happy because not every woman can do and achieve something like this. The success of the hard work and training will definitely be worth it and pay off. In this sense, have fun trying it out, enjoy, and see you in the next video.